Hello and welcome to our latest webinar, Future Orientated Education in Singapore. And I'm here today with Tammy Murphy, XWA Head of School and XCL CEO, Singapore Schools. So, welcome Tammy, lovely to see you.
Thanks, Fiona. Thanks for having us on today.
So first of all, just tell us where you are in Singapore and a little bit about the school.
We are located in the northern part of Singapore. And what I'd love to tell you about XWA is we are a beautiful international school with over 45 nationalities represented. And we are just the best size. So right at 1,000 students right now, but the max capacity would be 1,500. So I love that feeling of everyone knowing each other and feeling like they're part of a community. We are an inclusive school, so we appreciate the diversity of young people and are able to address all learning styles and personalize their education in our school of the future, as we like to say.
Thank you. And of course, you've got a very exciting job at the school, 38 years, I think, in education. So just to give us a little bit about your background and what excites you about being at the school at this exciting time.
Well, as you mentioned, I have spent what feels like a lifetime doing this great work for children and in service of their families. So I landed in Singapore from Dubai, where I had spent the last 5 years. But possibly you can pick up from my accent, I'm originally from the United States. I spent a good amount of decades in the Philadelphia region, but then moved over to the West Coast side of the United States in California, where I spent 12 years. I'm really excited about my move to Singapore because for XWA, we are just at the pinnacle of the aspirations in our strategic plan. And linked to that, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about today, is our beautiful 37-acre campus on which we're bringing some new facilities online this year for our learners in January, one of which is a 5-story innovation hub.
I know, and I've seen a wonderful video of you taking people around the construction site, so it looks most impressive. And that's going to be opening in January, is that right?
It will. We're hopeful that we'll have everything open after the winter break, but definitely by the month of January.
Yeah, great. So, of course, parents moving around the world are looking for schools at all times of the year, but this is coinciding with the busy admission season when parents, employers, and the relocation professionals supporting their move are really tuned into what schools have to offer and what countries might be on their radar. So I think increasingly we've noticed parents are very interested in future fit schools and a future fit education for their children. I mean, there's so much excitement in technology and changes across industry sectors. They may be buzzing around the world several times. So, I mean, just tell us a bit about what do you think it means, a future orientated education, and how does your school offer that to families and children joining you?
Well, thank you. Yeah, as you may know, XWA is an International Baccalaureate through school with many options at the top end beyond the diploma. But what we do with that foundation when we call ourselves a school of the future, it really goes beyond traditional academics, right? We're really working on dispositions, life skills, grit that will transcend knowledge, but will be something that they'll use as a basis for college and obviously for the workplace. So we know that it's not just a specific career that we're preparing children for, but skills for life. And that's something we take really great pride in here. And that happens by not just, as I mentioned earlier, thinking about academics, but thinking about everything a learner will need in the future. So there's the use of technology. We can't keep up with the rate of change in that. But more it is this mindset of being inquisitive, of being a problem solver, as not being afraid to ask questions. I read recently Google, in interviewing some of their prospective employers, asked a question, and what they want the interviewer to say is, I don't know the answer to that, but I sure have the resources and the ability to find it out. And I think that speaks to what we try to do here at XWA, is really nurture that creativity, that inquisitive mind, that really is a disposition kids need for life, young people need for life.
Yes, and I could see that was illustrated even with very young children. There's a wonderful video on your website about design thinking and young children. Can you just explain, something about that approach and why you bring it to children at such an early age?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a cycle of thinking about a problem. And at a young age, you have to help students kind of understand what that is. What am I trying to find a solution for? What are the questions I may ask? How do I empathize with another point of view? And something that's exciting that we wanted to kind of spotlight with you today, Fiona, is we have just signed a partnership with Sure Start. And beginning in 6th grade next year, our learners will be undergoing a 15-week comprehensive curriculum around leadership and artificial intelligence. We're so fortunate to partner with Dr. Tanya Misra. And the exciting thing, when you talk about a school of the future, what 6th graders are going to be sitting down on Monday and being taught by a Harvard professor? But that's something that's going to happen for our learners next year. And then 2 additional days a week, when they're working on some of their big world problems, the children will be broken down into groups of 1 to 6 and guided by a postgraduate mentor from universities such as Stanford, MIT, Cornell. So when we say we're a school of the future, I think you need to back that up with something. And I love to be able to have the opportunity to spotlight some of the amazing programs that here at XWA and XCL Education will be doing in the island of Singapore that no one else is doing.
So this is your strategies and programs you were excited to talk about. Is there anything more on the sort of higher level, higher end of the school, when young people are looking at careers and options opening to them?
Yeah, we're really fortunate to have a really robust university and college counseling center. So those folks really nurture the students from a young age, 8th grade, on pathways, and really are able to personalize and support them as they're going through the application process. We also find that not one program is always the best fit for every child or every family. So we're really beginning to diversify, to have more academic pathways in high school. So as I mentioned earlier, we're an IB3 school, but maybe the diploma isn't exactly what you want. So we also are offering advanced placement courses. You can take some regular high school courses peppered in with AP or some IB courses. So we find that having multiple ways to get to graduation really appeals to all learners and allows them to create a more personalized track based on their interests, desires, and maybe even where they see themselves attending university.
Mm-hmm. And this wonderful new innovation hub you're creating, perhaps there's good opportunity to talk about that now. And is that aimed more at the older pupils?
That is, while some of it, I'll speak a little about, some floors will be accessed by all our children. The hub mainly is what I would say grades 9 through 12 focus. So when you walk in, there's the most magnificent entire floor just for design technology. So there's some amazing places for kids to be creative, to create 3D printing, really think about the design process, and ultimately produce some incredible products. As you move up, there's a very generously sized esports arena, which we have another esports arena, kind of we call the garage, in the current XWA, but now we have an amazing arena with seating for hundreds, and just a really amazing place for kids to go and explore games and gamification. That also can be a black box theater for some pop-up plays, because we were recently named the best arts program in Singapore by the Honey Kids Association. So there's another dynamic to this school. When you move to the third floor, there is an entire floor dedicated just to digital innovation. So AR, VR, MR, green screen rooms, audio centers, places for collaboration and discussion, a pitching area. So this is a whole floor just dedicated to digital innovation. And then as you proceed to the fourth and fifth floor, there are 9 amazing science labs, some very creative spaces for other classrooms, an outdoor garden near the biology lab. So just a lot of amazing light and spaces that I think will both inspire and motivate students.
Oh, that all sounds wonderful. Now that brings me on to AI and technology. So obviously having a big influence on your school, and you're incorporating it more and more through the Innovation Centre. But how do you think AI is going to impact on schools and young people as well? We also hear about the dangers of AI and technology. Perhaps you could give your view, because I'm sure parents will be interested in what a forward-thinking school like yours, your opinions.
Yeah. I mean, I think first and foremost, we have to embrace these new tools that come. I think we all know it will never replace humans, the teacher, the interaction you get from person to person. But why not utilize and understand these tools to make us more effective in our work? I have to laugh because I used ChatGPT the other day to write a memo about the staff having breakfast. And I made a joke about that. Look at this memo. I didn't write this, but look at this quick tool that I used. So showing that we're not afraid of these things or threatened. But I do believe that there is an absolute ethical responsibility that has to be layered in with the use of these tools. And I think this is something that we're excited here at XWA to dialogue with our learners about, to teach what responsible citizenship means, and ask the ethical questions about the use of AI. And that's something in the program that I mentioned earlier that will be a point of discussion with our learners as we embark upon that partnership with Sure Start.
Yeah, so that's fascinating. Now, on the point of parents, they're one of the biggest decision makers here, or where they send their children. So how do you engage with the parents, and what do you do to support them when they first come to the school and to support the family?
Yeah, I think, that onboarding, those early days at the school are so critical. So we start poorly, but the entire admissions team and principals, we're out there because we have a rolling enrollment. So when new kids start, right from the get-go, we all greet them and make sure that they understand they're now part of our family. Of course, through student ambassadors, student leaders, we always try to make sure we buddy kids up, because those first few days are scary, and it's nice to have someone to show you the ropes as you navigate new friendships and a new landscape. We believe that educating our parents as partners in this journey for their children is critical. So I can tell you there must be at least 40 parent education sessions planned this year. And last week we had a session on understanding the PYP, and we had over 100 parents show up for that. So I love that they're equally invested. So I think if you're a prospective parent to this school, you not only know that your child's going to make friends, but that you're going to make friends, because there's a very engaged and interested parent body. And then, of course, there are all those wonderful things that parents do to support the school through parent advocacy groups, whether they help us decorate for our amazing holidays to represent all of our nationalities, movie nights, anything we can do to build community. We had a barbecue to kick off the year and just to all come together, and our hearts were so warm because last year we had 400 folks come, and this year we had over 1,000 parents attend. So it was just a wonderful way to kick off our year and to reinforce the importance of that partnership in this work.
Yes, of course. And wonderful that you have so many nationalities. So do you know roughly how many? And then it's very important to keep up their languages and their skills. So multilingual children, you must have a lot of them, and native languages. Can you give us a bit of an idea about how you support different languages and different families from different cultures?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, students take an additional language from a very early age, right? They begin their Mandarin, Spanish. Obviously, as it proceeds through, they can take their IB subjects in their mother tongue as well. So their language A, as they call it in the IB, could be in that, not in English, for example. We have seen so many new families come to the island, and maybe English isn't their first language. So we've built an entire support program around English as an additional language to ensure that they can be supported as they acquire the English language. And for many students that are coming with no English, we've started a foundational English program. And in that program, students are immersed all day in reading, writing, listening, speaking. I mean, of course, they have specials and some other fun things. But we've seen tremendous growth with language acquisition by that intensive program. And we just finished some testing, and I can't tell you how proud I am of how many students are already going to move back into the mainstream. So I think for other families moving where English is not their first language, we're a school that embraces that as well.
Brilliant. Great. Thank you. So moving back onto the topic we started off with about the future fit orientation, what have you got anything more you'd like to say to encourage young students, not just at your school, but on a wider basis to grasp the opportunities of the future, and what do you see those being really?
Well, I think integrating technology into your life is inevitable. What those exact tools are going to be, I think they're going to continue to change. So just having that mindset, that adaptive mindset to embrace these changes, to play with them, make mistakes and learn from them, because there's nothing wrong, obviously, with making mistakes. I think you mentioned this earlier, but there absolutely is an ethical responsibility to understand the use of the tools so that they continue to be used in the right way. And I think what will transcend whatever change comes before us will be just fostering that belief of lifelong learning. I have not stopped learning even after 38 years. I go into every day knowing I should learn more things. And I think that really is something employers are going to look for in the future. They're not going to expect us to have all the skills required, but the disposition to learn and to grow and to keep upskilling yourself, I think, are critical.
Yes, I quite agree with you. And that mythical thing, emotional intelligence.
Yes.
We've just caught a little bit of a glimpse of some of the arts and music and the sport, but perhaps you'd like to just say a little bit more about the importance of creativity and how you offer that in the school, not only on the curriculum, but the perhaps after school activities.
Yeah, I think what we know here at XWA is the academics are absolutely important, but developing that other side of your brain, the arts, music. So our students are exposed to amazing arts weeks, musicians, plays, music bands, rock bands. I mean, sometimes on Friday morning, I'll hear music in the courtyard and different students will just get their bands together to play. So I think, that's critical. We try to run a really comprehensive after-school program that runs the gamut from golf, so something athletic to something artistic. So we really try to have kids have an opportunity to really explore other avenues, because it's through these avenues that they may find unique talents that they never knew they had, or end up heading into a career of something they never knew they were going to be quite so interested at. So lots of clubs, opportunities for debate, get engaged with being a student leader, student government. I love when kids come and say, I think we need a diversity club. I want to talk about, equal rights. And you say, okay, you're passionate about that. So really allowing that student agency, voice, and choice, I think, is really another cornerstone of this academy.
And of course, the environmental impact. And I noted that you'd won a Green Award recently as well. And young people are so inspired by environmental initiatives.
Well, I don't think we can ever stop working on that, right? This is something that, and especially living in the beautiful country that we lived in, they're very mindful of our footprint and of sustainability. So I know we certainly have even more work to do in that area.
And so XWA, you're prepared for the future, and you sound as if you're optimistic. So are you hopeful?
Yes, I go into every day hopeful, because I get to work with young people, and they are our future. So I love the supportive environment here. Our teachers are truly dedicated and go the extra mile for their learners. And I do think as you know, I'm fairly new, maybe just 8 months in. But when I speak to young people, to our children, they know that their teachers care deeply about them. And that, I think, is just really the most important foundation we can set for them in their learning journey.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a fascinating conversation, and learning all about the XWA, the school, yourself, full of energy and full of optimism. So thank you very much for inviting us to the school today.
Truly a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And we've been speaking to Tammy Murphy, XWA Head of School and XCL CEO, Singapore Schools. And here's her bio, which you can catch up on her details here. So thanks to Tammy and the admissions team for providing the information. I'm Fiona Murchie, Managing Editor of Relocate Global and Think Global People. And we're, through this series, connecting schools with future employers and with the parents, relocation professionals who are guiding their next education choice. So here are details how you can get in touch with the admissions people, an email address and the website address. So do get in touch to find out more, and there's lots of informative videos. There are also a featured school of Relocate Global and Think Global People. Here at Relocate Global and Think Global People, we have a range of resources to support education and schools, including our autumn and spring International Education and Schools Fair, our online guide to international education and schools, country guides on the website, and plenty of resources, including videos and podcasts. So please do keep in touch and enjoy these resources to support you and your teams and your families moving around the world.